says. Thank you. Thank you for chiming in there. Okay, so what you've got written next here is something other than what I'm seeing on the screen, and that's fine. So I'd like to introduce Lesley for the message today, which is the title of that message is Release.
Hiya everyone, and everyone on Zoom. I can see Winnie. Okay, so some of you would have heard a fair bit of this before, but yeah, here we go. So the power of this month is release, and by releasing beliefs that no longer serve us, we clear the way for life to flow, and life is the power of December. And we've also just had Halloween, and Halloween or evening before the traditional Christian holy day, All Hallows Day or All Saints Day, that comes before All Saints. And playing with ghosts and scary things at Halloween is a way of honouring the shadow side of all, that is the goodness on the other side. But the next day, All Hallows Day, is an honouring of saints, the people who have been officially declared as having exceptional contributions to humanity or the planet. And I do wonder about mentioning Jane Goodall to the Pope. Have any of you seen that fabulous Netflix interview with her? Well, it's just extraordinary. And then I think a week later, she actually made her transition. So, and I often decree sainthood on other people as well, like Bill, for all that they do and are, but the hierarchy don't listen to me. But Rick Diamond asks, what if everything around and within us is full of beauty? What if everything is already holy? What if every step we've taken, every so-called mistake we've made, every pattern we've followed, and every lesson we've learned have all been part of the magnificent life we came here to live? What if what is holy is exactly what we are already? And it's not easy to claim our indwelling divinity, or as Unity's second principle says, that we all have a spark of divinity within us. Our very essence is of God, and we are therefore inherently good. It's not easy to release our doubts and self-criticism, but it's interesting. One of the ways we in Unity do that is by the use of denials. Affirmations have gone mainstream, but I don't think denials have they? No.
That's the dark art.
What's that, David?
That's the dark art.
Yes. Yeah, well, I use tapping, and Dawson Church and people like that are into tapping, and that helps with affirmation, denials and affirmation. The revealing word defines denial as a relinquishment, and it should be made without vehemence. We're told that make our denials as though we're gently sweeping away cobwebs, whereas our affirmations are stated in a strong positive attitude of mind. But Paul Hasselbeck says the opposite. He says to be strong with our denials. He says shout out the word no. And if you have trouble saying that, say no, K-N-O-W, and it sounds the same, and your subconscious won't know the difference. I'm not making that up. In his book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, here we are, David Hawkins explores the act of letting go as a means to achieve emotional and spiritual freedom. There's a great power in letting go of old resentments and feelings so that we can raise our vibrational frequency. And we've got a map, thanks to Saint Jeanette, of his levels of consciousness and our vibrational frequency. I usually use Esther Hicks, but this is much more complicated and a lot more detail. And science reminds us that the universe is made up of energy, and so are we. So it makes sense to know how to manage it. Bliss at the top just so reminds me of all the saints, you know, who get into that state. And I know TM always talked about attaining bliss consciousness when in TM you do a flying course. Transcendental meditation. And I can fly, but you don't actually fly, you just raise up. But it always makes you so happy. I wouldn't say bliss, but happy anyway. So William Bloom says, as electromagnetic and energetic beings, we're connected to and interpenetrated by the wave fields and energies of the universe. We're all interconnected. That's why when we change our energy, we have a positive effect on the world. Candace Pert started the research into the healing of endorphins. And William Bloom's book is The Endorphin Effect. And endorphins are part of the family of chemicals called neuropeptides. In the 1980s, it was discovered that they're not only secreted in the brain, but throughout the whole body. They're the healing well-being chemicals, and we can circulate them at will. One of William Bloom's headings in his book, The Endorphin Effect, is Cats, Soccer, Sex, Chocolate, His Way into Endorphins. And we have a way into endorphins that you're going to receive now. Yeah?
Oh.
Sorry, people at home. So we all have our own ways of uplifting our spirits. Whenever. So we all have our ways of uplifting our spirits. Walking in nature, having a good laugh like you just did. Any other examples of how you uplift your spirits and maybe circulate endorphins?
Go to the gym.
Gym? Yeah.
Yeah. Music.
Yeah.
Glass of wine. Sing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Seaside, by the sea.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Just going out the sunshine.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then by the sea, there's all sorts
Yeah, centuries ago I used to do race walking, and I remember doing it to the point that, it was beyond reasonable, but I was as high as a kite for about 2 days after that. But yeah. So, Unity has followed these principles since the 1880s. In this case, our thinking creates our own reality, or principle 3, and that and affects all those in our energy field. And we got Myrtle's famous story of her healing, and you've heard this, but when I was helping run Gawler Foundation's cancer support groups here, I went across to the library and pulled out the story of Unity, and we were telling the people in our group that Candace Pert only managed to convince the medical profession that our thoughts affect our immune system in 1980s. And here were these people, Myrtle with her healing in 1880, knowing and realising the truth of that. So I came along to Unity, and the rest is history, the next Sunday. It's also important to acknowledge that there are multiple reasons for illness, such as genetics, environment, etc. We are talking about living in peace, love and joy as much as possible, rather than being dragged down by what is happening in the world around us. And it's pretty easy to be dragged down by what's happening at the moment. But I saw this with the cancer patients, that doing the course, even though they knew they weren't going to be long in this world, they were all at peace, that they'd given up, they'd accepted, and were able to just move on with peace and appreciation. So we all move up and down the scale according to our experiences and our internal guidance systems. Sometimes we aren't even aware that we're carrying the burden. And shame, humiliation and guilt are down there in the bottom. And I lived for about 2 years in that state when I had a marriage breakup. Good Methodists didn't end a marriage, and I spent 2 years walking with a friend going over it and over it, and then one day I realised, stop trying to make sense of it, because there is none. And of course I went up. If only I'd known about this then. Hawkins describes these lower emotional states, that these states act like energetic weights, pulling us down and preventing us from experiencing higher states of joy and love. The act of surrendering these emotions is liberating, creating space for more positive experiences. As we move up the emotional scale, we gain greater awareness of our purpose, capabilities, and the interconnectedness of life. We become more in tune with the universe and the gifts of synchronicity and grace that help strengthen our faith. I guess you've all had experiences of synchronicity that strengthen your faith, yep? Sky's nodding. Do you want to share?
I can't think of a specific moment, but I know that I have.
Yeah. And it is strengthening for your faith, isn't it, when those things happen? Yeah. The reality is, however, that unless we're enlightened, I think we all have experiences that pull us back down. And the good thing is we have tools to set ourselves free, and each experience strengthens us. Ernest Holmes says, what we surrender becomes our power. And my good old friend Carolyn Mace, that Cheryl and I were talking about the other day, She says, our processed wounds become the gift we give back to the world. And I really love that one, and I do quote her a lot on that. And there are so many people, stories, aren't there, of people turning pain into service, like the fellow in WA recently who ran a marathon every day to support brain tumour research in children, and yeah, the list goes on. So Hawkins suggests 4 steps in letting go. Awareness, acknowledge the emotion or attachment. What are you holding on to? Acceptance, accept how you feel without judgment. Give yourself permission to feel. Release, use techniques such as denials, deep breathing or meditation to consciously let go of the emotional grip. Move up the scale to a higher vibration, consciously replace negative emotion with an empowering thought or affirmation. And gratitude is the powerful one. And Joe Dispenza says, gratitude is the magnet that attracts our intentions. Hawkins doesn't mention gratitude on his map of consciousness, but I put it up with the level of love. This is where healings and synchronicities happen, and our trust or faith in the benevolence of the universe grows stronger despite the seeming mess of the world. Now, I've got a very eccentric chiropractor, and my kids would say, of course I have, because it's me. But when I had a session with him a couple of weeks ago, he went on and on about Rudolf Steiner. And I went home and pulled out a couple of my books on Rudolf Steiner. And then I came back from a walk, and we have a coffee shop outside where I live. There were couples sitting there, and there was a woman I didn't recognise, and she said, "Hello, Lesley." Anyway, I went and sat with her, and it turns out it was my Steiner Studies teacher and his wife, Marguerite, recognised me after all these years. How amazing. Adrian Anderson, my teacher, was sitting there. That was quite extraordinary. I've shared in the past how I've always felt a bond with the father of the disturbed boy, as told in the Gospels of Matthew and Mark. The father asks that if Jesus can do anything at all for his son, to please do it. Jesus says that all things are possible if we believe. And then this is what I love. The father replies, "Lord, I believe. Help thou mine unbelief." The statement of belief comes first, and then the uncertainty, and how I relate to that. Later, Jesus gives the graphic illustration that if we have faith, even as small as a mustard seed, we can move mountains. And Jeanette told stories the other week about people who trusted, like in Greg Braden's book about, I think, stopping the rain and various events that are seemingly impossible. It's reassuring that as we follow the spiritual path, and that even though we might have doubts, we still have more power than we can begin to imagine when we're open to spirit or source. David Hawkins lists a massive number of health challenges he's been able to overcome: high cholesterol, duodenal ulcer, arthritis. David McClure, the Unity minister who says he started Unity here in Australia, had a stage 4 melanoma rapidly spreading through his body. He wasn't afraid of dying, but he just thought he had more that he wanted to achieve in this lifetime. He had a group praying for his healing, and he was put on a trial drug which miraculously brought about a cure. And A Course in Miracles, I love this one, and we've got that on a slide, I think. Yep. Yeah. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. They are all expressions of love are maximal. And when I went back with that a while ago to that quote, I came up with my copy of the book Love is Letting Go of Fear by Jerry Jampolsky. And there's an inscription in it saying, "To dearest Lesley from Lesley." And I didn't give it to myself in a fit of narcissism, but there's this great story behind it. Lesley, the other one, was a colleague when we were teaching at TAFE, and she was to have surgery for uterine fibroids, and it was all set for her to have that surgery. She dropped her daughter off at the tennis courts in Dandenong and then drove up to Hill to the Pentecostal church up whatever road, and people were going in, so she thought, well, she had time to spare, she'd go in. And the pastor said, I've, for some reason, I don't know why, but I've changed what we were going to do, and we're going to have a healing service. So she thought, this is for me. So she went forward and had laying on of hands, and felt this power of energy go through her. And she went home and she shed all this tissue to the point that she would have gone to casualty if she hadn't had the healing. So on the Monday, she rang the doctor's office and said, I don't need to have surgery, I've been healed. And the receptionist said, there, Mrs. Morrissey. A lot of people say that, but, we'll go ahead. Anyway, she said, no, I've been healed, and went in, saw the doctor, and he was blown away because she had been healed. And he was so fascinated, he asked, could he borrow her copy of The Course in Miracles? And years later, I was at a day with Wayne Dyer and other luminaries at the tennis centre, and I moved seats during the break. And who was sitting behind me but Lesley? And she showed me a copy of Wayne Dyer's book that I'd inscribed as a gift to her, and she excitedly told me she was going to ask him to autograph it. And the fascinating thing is that what was evident at our meeting was that Lesley hadn't been able to overcome a serious drinking problem that had developed over the years that I'd known her. And that brings home to me the paradox that of our humanity. We can accomplish so much, but we can also sabotage our own good in spectacularly grand ways as well. And it's important to acknowledge that in the dark times, we need more help than gritting our teeth and trying to be positive. Reaching out to others for support and from our intention circle can help lighten heavy burdens. Unity ministers Robert and Janet Ellsworth, in their book Come Apart for a While, tell a story of a woman who asked her minister for prayer support. A couple of weeks later, she rang him to give thanks for the answered prayer. He looked in his desk and he found the request that he'd never forwarded to Silent Unity. And this is just such a fabulous example of someone opening her heart to receive the power of the universe that could flow through her. And it's just exactly like the placebo effect, isn't it? If we believe, we can do it. She just felt she needed the support. So I did a course years ago when we meditated on our spiritual guide. and you've heard this one, everybody's sharing, Buddha and Jesus and saints and everything. And unfortunately, I had to embarrassingly say it came up very clearly as Tinkerbell. And Tinkerbell means love and light. We come from the light, we go into the light. This life can be more glorious if we remember that our words are our wand. We can use consciousness to remove filters from our light so that we shine with an ever-increasing glow. And the more I remove my filters, the more I can see your light, because I'm not projecting my issues onto you. And I love the question that from Wayne Dyer, who used to ask it every day, how may I serve? And this is another story from the first time I came back from Findhorn. I had never known that you could go into the silence and get guidance and by yourself like Eileen Caddy did. And so I'd just retired from work and I wanted to know what I would do next. And I was scared I'd be sent to Africa without showers to teach English or something. And the answer to that guidance came back to me so clearly. It's not what you do, but how you do it. So I ran around being charming to everybody for a few weeks, and I think they got sick of it as so did I. But I've got this wonderful person in my life who's very intuitive, and she consciously, even when she goes shopping, remembers to project love and light. And she was at the supermarket a couple of weeks ago, and the deli woman serving was as grim as you all get up. And so this person thought, okay, I'm going to see if I can help her. And then she was very upset because another person came to serve her, so she didn't get to speak to this woman. But then before she left, she said she did open up to the woman. She did speak to her, and the woman absolutely changed her whole demeanour. So this one of mine just felt so pleased that she'd been able to, just by being herself, cheer somebody. Yeah, good to see you, John. So, our sacred service is to be a healing presence, combining head and heart, embodying compassion, empathy and kindness. It means actively listening and validating the experiences of those around us and offering support without judgment. We do it without expectation of reward, but being in the flow brings rewards beyond our wildest dreams. And I call these the gifts of grace from the universe. Each of us has the power to contribute to collective healings, one thought, one action at a time. So we'll just go into our meditation. If I can find it.
Here's a question, Leslie. On that slide with the map of consciousness, there was the last column that said process. Does that mean like the process by which that level manifests? The process of how you get out of it?
To get out of it, yeah, to move up.
That's what confused me though.
Yeah.
Like that implies that the process of escaping guilt is destruction. So does that mean like that's the process that gets you into guilt, is destruction?
If you're aware of your shame or your guilt, the idea is that you That's how you act in life. Yeah, yeah. So you're not aware.
So if you're not aware of your grief, within life you manifest despondency. Is that what that means? The process. So like the process column for like grief. If you're not aware of your grief, then you manifest despondency.
Yeah, yeah. But having the awareness, the Esther Hicks chart is much simpler, but I sort of, because I'd gone to this book, I just thought it would be like anger, where vengeful, and the process is aggression, yeah.
So the vengeful one means like that's how you view God. If anger is a predominant emotion in your life, you view God as a predominant.
Sorry, David.
Sorry. So that means that like if your life is operating on the level of anger, then your view of God is you believe God is a vengeful God.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Yep. So we've got a slide for the meditation. So this is sort of vaguely based on letting go, and we're going to walk a grace trail. G for gratitude, R for release and elimination, A for accept, C for challenge, E for embrace. So if you're ready, if you're happy, just close your eyes. Allow yourself to sink into the space. Allow the earth to support you. And grace is a gift from the universe, God, Source. It's available to all who choose to open their head, heart and soul to the possibility of it showing up in life. So let's go and walk a grace trail. Imagine we're walking along a beautiful path beside a lake, surrounded by shady trees. The sun shines gently down on us. We feel that we're walking on hallowed ground. Allow all your senses to be awakened as we walk the grace trail. We come to a huge rock bearing the letter G. G is for gratitude. Even though life has its challenges, ask and contemplate on, what can I be grateful for? Gratitude raises us up above the small details of life and brings us into the present moment. Gratitude flows from the heart and brings us out of the head. Gratitude is a certain step toward grace. So contemplate, what's going right for me in my life? At home, at work, in my play. Now we continue to stroll along the path. The next rock is inscribed with the letter R, release and elimination. Ask, even though I carry a heavy load, what can I let go of? What do I need to make room for in my life? Beside the path, a calm lake stretches before us. and along its shore are beautiful smooth stones. Choose one, and when you're clear about what you would like to release, throw the stone into the water. Watch it sink and feel how beautiful it is to have made space for unknown good to flow to you. Letting go allows energy and emotion to flow freely. Feeling lighter now, skip along our winding path. The next rock carries the letter A, acceptance. Our question is, what do I need to accept in my life? And if I can't accept it, can I at least acknowledge it? There's a huge, beautiful rock ahead of you. Move over and sit on it as you listen to your inner voice that tells you what needs acceptance. Once we accept, serenity and peace are possible. Accepting doesn't mean that we have to like something or that you can't take action to change it. By acknowledging and accepting issues, they become quiet, no longer rule us. Maybe we have to accept one step at a time. When you're ready, leave this rock and come to the letter C for challenge. Our question is, even though my life is full, what is my challenge? The days are becoming lighter and warmer as spring continues. The vibrant energy of inspiration, enthusiasm, and new life is everywhere. We see the wattle and blossom blooming on the trees ahead. We can ask, what do I want to plant in my life? Challenge doesn't have to be a physical act. It can be about attitude and perspective. What do I need to say yes to in life? What do I need to say no to? How do I muster the courage I need? We're nearly at the end of the trail. The last rock carries the letter E for embrace. Our question is, even though nothing is certain, what can I embrace as possible? Look around, flowers are blooming, birds are singing. Feel part of the ease and flow of nature and ask, where am I ready to bloom and grow in life? When we can visualise our dreams from a place of gratitude, we know that the universe supports us. Ask what makes me feel alive. What are my passions? What matters most for me? And so now, when you're ready, see yourself standing, arms thrown out wide. Your heart is open to embrace all that is possible in this moment. Focusing attention, intentions toward the point on the horizon that entices you forward to acceptance of your indwelling divinity and the gifts of grace from the universe. And so it is.